Hi, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of Meditation Mastery with Seth. I am sitting in Asheville, North Carolina, as part of my cross-country healing tour. We rolled into here actually inside of a tow truck the other day. So our car broke down in Tennessee and we had to get towed the rest of the way in. And we have some healing dates around the country as we travel. So there's been a lot of organization to do, a lot of different concerns and worries and time managements. It was the weekend and then a holiday, and we're leaving in a couple days. So there's been a lot going on, a lot of different pieces, moving pieces that need to all kind of be put into place for this trip to continue. And yesterday morning, we actually gave a healing the night before, really beautiful healing in this place called the Light Center up on Black Mountain, North Carolina, really cool. And yesterday morning I woke up and I felt a little bit tired and I felt a little bit groggy, and I went outside for my morning meditation practice. And I could feel that there was this tension going down my chest and into my belly. And when I sent my mind into that place, I could feel that this was the feeling of worry. And in my mind, when I looked at my logical mind, my analytical mind, I understood everything's happening in its, divine timing, and we're going to figure everything out, and I've contacted the places for the car, and I had all of my plans in my mind. So on the head level, everything made sense. But on the emotional level, on the bodily level, there was still something going on. This is important to know because sometimes, even though in our head we understand situations and we see them clearly, we're still reacting emotionally. And sometimes there's a disconnect between those two things, that if someone asks you how you're doing, you think you're doing okay because you understand the situation, but maybe your body doesn't, your emotions don't. When I was in the monastery, my teacher was giving acupuncture to this one nun, and she was this meditation master. And he was giving acupuncture to her, and afterwards he said to me that she has a lot going on in her stomach. And it seems like it's this anxiety, right? That there's an emotional cause connected to all of the organs. And we kind of thought about it together. And, she's this really high meditation master. And why would she have worry? But then he looked at me and shrugged and he said, but the body doesn't lie. And as he would give acupuncture to people, and he'd see about 100 patients a day, and he'd been doing this for, years and years and years, it was starting to become clear to him that the body and that the organs and that there's certain patterns that everything follows. And people would come and he'd say, how are you doing? And they'd tell, whatever story they had. And he'd say, okay. And he would check the body, check the pulse, see what was going on. And then he would tell them, oh, actually, you're worried about something. Actually, you have grief that you haven't gone through. You have a lot of anger towards something. What's going on? That he would check their body and he would tell them actually how they're feeling. And then suddenly they would just break down crying, and then all these emotions would come out and their story would shift, and suddenly they would say what's really happening, or they didn't even know that that's what was going on. They didn't even know that that's really how they were feeling because they were stuck in their head. They were stuck in the story, the concepts, the analyzing, the understanding, and hadn't really dropped in with the body and how the body's doing. So yesterday when I went out and I sat in meditation, I found that it was very powerful to actually do the meditation just on the body level, to sit and to feel the body, to be present with the body, to start to release and soften things in the body, but also to start to breathe into it and start to really embrace it and understand it and bring it in. This is also a practice that Thich Nhat Hanh talks about when they start scanning the body and really just being present with whatever's going on. He talks a lot about, embracing the child within you. But what this is really talking about is also bracing this emotional body, getting in touch with the emotions trapped within the physical body. If you know about the chakras also, that people, often refer to the chakras as the emotional centers of the body. And if you think about it, for instance, the heart, when you feel love, it's this feeling up here, but also anger, right? It's up here. So it's also this feeling of love and connection, but also the feeling of separation and hurt. It's up here. If you think about the belly, which is the solar plexus chakra, and they talk about solar plexus being the seat of confidence, right? You think about when you're nervous, you get a tight stomach and you get butterflies in the belly, right? that there is this actual physiological connection between different emotional states and different placements within the body, right? They say the third eye, it's the seat of intuition, but also of doubt. And you see when people are unsure and they're trying to figure something out, they kind of scrunch up this area that they almost make their third eye tight, right? So if you really look at the different chakras energetically, you'd see that there are actual emotional centers in the body, that there's places that we hold our emotions. And if you listen to your body, if you feel into your body, you'll see how you're actually doing, even if your mind, your thoughts aren't aware. And when I went to Plum Village, I was actually doing prostrations in their meditation hall. And the prostrations are these bows where you go all the way down to the ground and you place your head on the floor, and you're kind of giving yourself fully to the practice. You're giving yourself to the Buddha, the teachings, and the community. But it's really just symbolic, and it makes this energetic mark in your mind that says, I am giving everything I have for the practice, for transformation, right? For my development, for the betterment of this mind, of this body, of this life, that I give my body, my speech, my mind, everything that I have, I give for this practice of transformation. And I remember as I was doing these prostrations in Plum Village, I put my head down to the ground, and I remember just feeling the ground. And I remember just staying there and just feeling the ground and feeling this great sense of presence by just touching the ground. And this feeling of, grounding, right? It's cliche, but grounding, by feeling the ground and feeling totally grounded, suddenly that my emotions, that my busy mind, that everything felt suddenly grounded and stable. And it was also clear that the physical mind, that the mind, it's very busy and it's very, jumping. It's the monkey mind, right? It's all over the place. But the physical body, the material, it's actually solid. It's stable. If you think about the elements, right? The element of earth, it's the stable kind of rock, right? It's solid and it doesn't move, right? Versus wind and water and all these things that are flowing and moving. That the element of earth, that the body, that this kind of physicality, materiality, it's stable and it allows the mind to also ground. That yoga has become a huge thing as the increase of people's mental activity culturally has begun, with the advent of phones and the internet and computers, and just the pace of life has built up that people's minds are running much faster than their bodies, than their environments. By doing yoga, by slowly stretching the body, it brings the mind back in to a more controlled environment. It brings the mind back into something that has these kind of limitations, and it has this rhythm and these cycles and these movements. And just to feel the body, it allows the mind to anchor somewhere. Similar to when we meditate and we feel the breath flowing in and out, it's just creating that anchor point. It's giving the mind somewhere to rest on, something stable to rest on in an otherwise unstable flowing world, especially if your car is in the shop and you're trying to get to Arkansas in a couple of days, right? So it really gives you this feeling of stability, and it gives you a place to rest. And while I was meditating in the morning and I was going through the body, I actually realized what would be great for me would be to do some walking meditation. So walking meditation is something that I practiced a great deal of in the monastery. I haven't talked a lot about in these talks because simply we're sitting, and it would be kind of hard and weird to make a video of me walking with the phone, although I might do that anyway. But for walking meditation, it's this practice of walking, and usually you just walk back and forth. You choose kind of 2 points and you just walk back and forth between them slowly. And as you're walking, you really just feel the ground under your feet. You feel your feet on the ground. You feel the body. You breathe. Usually walking, it's for us a way of getting from point A to point B. Walking, it's a transportation mode for us. And often when you're walking, you're thinking about the place that you're going, right? Or you're on your phone, or you're lost in thoughts, or whatever. It's not often that we're walking, even when we get to the grocery store, when we're going to work, that as we walk, we're really just present with the feeling of our feet on the floor as we walk. Walking meditation is something that actually the Buddha himself practiced right up to his enlightenment. That in Bodh Gaya, where the Bodhi tree is, the place that the Buddha sat and finally reached enlightenment, there's little lotuses on the ground in kind of concrete, these little monuments along the way. And it talks about that the Buddha would practice this walking meditation, that there are these steps that he was making, that he would practice walking and then he would sit, and then he would walk and then he would sit. So he would use the walking to ground the mind. When I was actually practicing in Australia at Ajahn Brahm's monastery, one of his senior monks at the beginning of the retreat gave advice to all of the younger monks. And he said, look, instead of going and sitting right away and trying to, sit for 3 months and really get into it, he said, oftentimes it's better to try walking for even a month. Don't even bother sitting. He said, just try walking meditation and just walk all the time, just walking, walking, walking. It really just starts to rein the mind in, connecting the mind into the body, grounding the mind, bringing you into the present moment, because the body is what's here presently. The thoughts, they can go off in the past and the future, but the body's just here. And by grounding the mind and the body through walking meditation, he said after a month, then you can sit and then you'll go really far, really fast because you're already present. I actually talked to a nun, and she was practicing in Thailand for many years. And she said that she practiced walking meditation so much, and she practiced, channeling her energy into her body, that she said she doesn't actually think anymore. That where her mind used to be running with thoughts, instead it just bounces around inside of her body. She was saying that she's just bouncing between sensations in the body now instead of going in mental energy, because she's just trained the mind to stay here, to stay in the physicality, to stay in the body. So this mind-body connection is something that's super important. It's also why you feel so great after taking a bath or a shower or going to the gym or getting a massage, kind of working some of these emotional tensions, working some of the emotional energy out of the body, but also just coming back to something that's stable, that's present, that's here. It allows you to just get out of the world of thoughts, the world of projections, the world of what ifs and what could be's and fears, and to really just come back to the here and now of what's actually going on. And again, when we practice meditation, when you feel the breath, what you're actually feeling is the body. You can technically never feel the breath. You're only aware of sensations of the nose, right? You're only ever feeling bodily sensations when you feel something. So actually, when we meditate and we're relaxing the body and we feel the breath, you're actually just bringing back to the body sensations of breath, the body sensations of breathing. And doing this allows you to really get that groundedness that maybe is not possible in your life, right? Maybe there's a lot going on. Sometimes when I would wake up and I would be having difficulty sleeping, or I'd be having kind of panic or anxiety at night, different times this would happen, not often, but every now and then it would just come up for whatever reason. I would get up and I would do walking meditation, right? And that was the way that I would help ground myself, come back, feel like everything's okay, and then get into my practice. So the tool of walking meditation is something that I want to pass on to you. And again, it's really, you just pick 2 points, say from here to the end of the room, or you're outside between 2 points, and you just walk back and forth between these 2 points slowly, and you just feel your steps, and you breathe, and you relax, and you ground, and you walk. And you could even practice syncing up your breath to your steps. So as you take a step, you breathe in, take a step, you breathe out, take a step, you breathe in, take a step, you breathe out, and start to sync up your breathing with your mind, your awareness, your focus, and your steps, your body. This is something that's really powerful, really nice, really easy. Sometimes it's a little bit awkward for people when they first start because they're not used to being so aware of their body. They almost start stumbling. I've seen people when they try doing walking meditation, they stumble at first. It's almost like stage fright, right? It's something that you've done so much and you understand how it works, but as soon as there's attention on it, you're not sure how it works anymore, right? As soon as there's something looking at it, there's a light shining on it, it freezes up. So when you do walking meditation and you just walk slowly and easily, it's normal if you feel even like out of balance a little bit because you're not used to moving so slow. But eventually it becomes very comfortable. You're not sending your energy forwards, you're sending your energy downwards into presence. Each step is presence. So walking meditation is something that I would love to pass on. I would love for each of you to give it a shot at some point, today, tomorrow, just wherever you are. Even honestly, if you're just walking into your car, out of your car from somewhere, just practice doing it slowly and just feeling your steps, feeling where you are, breathing, instead of projecting your mind into the future. It really just creates a nice reset, and it's a nice place to come to. But otherwise, for the meditation that I lead today, I'm going to lead a meditation that has more to do with the body. And I'll again bring us into the body, relaxing different parts of the body, and really just staying in touch with what's going on here, and maybe also allowing you guys a chance to see, is my body telling me something that my mind doesn't know? Does my body want me to actually see what's happening, even if my mind's trying to escape it or get rid of it? So getting into the body will be about the practice today. Very, very basic, very simple, very foundational part of being a human, right? Human being. So the human is the body, the being is the mind. So really just dropping in with what's going on, finding that bridge between the two, and seeing how we can work that into our practice. So stay tuned for the meditation right afterwards, and have a great sit.